Go Mecha Ball and Crumble are both fantastic games, but on behalf of my fellow completionists, I'll be measuring them against a different metric. How good are they to complete? Hold on to something, as in this video, we'll be bolting around digitized arcades and bursting past viney jungles as we slingshot towards another pair of platinums. And as usual, I'll be giving brief synopses and reviews along the way, so without further delay, let's roll! An otherwise carefree world is suddenly breached by a rogue AI through unstable portals. Responding to this threat, fun-loving denizens Rascal Cat, Proton, Sprout, and Mika construct and pilot transforming mecha suits in a bid to repel the megalomaniacal invader. Go Mecha Ball is a relentlessly fun and chaotic twin-stick shooter built around the central premise of switching between a waddling gunslinger and a high-speed pinball-like wrecking ball. Peppered with ramps, bumpers, and boost pads, the player is given no choice but to screech from one combat arena to the next, with barely a chance to catch their breath. Loading times and cooldowns between waves have been slashed to the absolute minimum to ensure no interruptions to this frenzied and kinetic experience. While your initial arsenal of weapons, abilities, and upgrades is fairly bland, souped-up additions can be purchased with a persistent currency between runs in true roguelite fashion. Before the initial wow factor begins to wear off, the player's pinball wizardry will escalate to a whole other level, tearing through encounters and bosses with alarming speed as they discover overpowered synergies to exploit. In reality, this is very much a deliberate design decision on the part of the developers at Whale Peak Games. One element of Go Mecha Ball's winning formula is just how straight up unfair it can feel dispatching gaggles of hapless foes. There is such variety in the ways in which damage can be inflicted upon enemies, whether that be with guns, collisions, friendly fire, or outright ejection from an arena. The breakneck pace never lets up and never goes stale. The player's options for expression are plentiful too, with 4 different mecha suits available encouraging different playstyles, whether that be bouncing around in the air like a violent volleyball or raining down abilities upon enemies as if cracking the jackpot. If the footage I've provided has even remotely piqued interest, I heartily encourage trying out and supporting what has otherwise been a sorely overlooked title in the indie gaming back catalogue. So, a couple achievements to keep in mind here as you head off in pursuit of 100%. Essentially, the main ones you're going to be aiming for are True Hero, which is reaching the true ending. This requires you to beat the game on each of its 5 difficulty levels, each of which is unlocked as you complete the previous one. As you're doing that, you want to keep in mind the Time Lord achievement, which asks you to complete a run in under 30 minutes. Now, most of your runs are going to clock in at way less than an hour, so pushing for the Time Lord achievement isn't that much more difficult. You just need to essentially bear this in mind and not be lingering on any of the upgrade screens or in the shop between rounds, and just get a really high damage build so you can clear out areas as quickly as possible, and you should come in nice and easily under that 30-minute threshold. Other achievement you're going to have to focus on is Big Spender. So there is a specific upgrade called the Midas Wrath, which you will need to spend 100 coins in a single use of in order to unlock this achievement. The main issue is not actually doing this specific task, but rather unlocking Midas Wrath and also seeing it available as you're doing a run. To focus on Big Spender, essentially, once you've found the Midas Wrath ability, make sure that you do not unlock any further abilities until you've seen this, because for each one that you buy after it, you're essentially reducing your probability of seeing it on a run, making it more difficult. So yeah, that's all you really need to keep in mind, and once that does pop up, You want to focus on using a high rate of fire weapon, such as the railgun, or I think the rapido, I think it's called, which one of the characters starts with. Those will both easily satisfy the condition and unlock the achievement. And that's all you need to bear in mind as you're completing Go Mecha Ball. It's an absolute belter of a game, and the fact that it's seen such little traffic on Steam, I think, is basically borderline criminal. Tons of fun, all the characters are great. It's everything you could want out of a roguelite. So yeah, I will very happily give this the full 5 out of 5 for achievements. And yeah, if you're in the mood for something a little bit different, but you still want that solid roguelite experience, look no further than Go Mecha Ball. Swing, fling, and ping through flimsy obstacles as a squidgy round head. Make use of an incredibly extendable, sticky tongue to catapult through each stage as quickly as possible. As rapid as it is daft, Crumble is a physics-based platformer popping at the seams with ideas as vibrant as its setting. A short but sweet series of levels hurtle the player into learning the bare-bones moveset of rolling, jumping, and grappling towards each end goal between a handful of distinct worlds. This core gameplay loop is a satisfying one to master, beginning by steadily hopping from one precarious podium to the next, while later skipping over huge portions of each level, chasing a faster finish time than before. Grabbing onto any nearby surface with the character's tongue can allow the player to save themselves from a misjudged swing or make up for some of the, shall we say, wonky collision detection, while also serving the dual purpose of propelling the character faster as skills improve. The game's inherent wonkiness is actually where it's at its strongest, rather than causing frustration like games with tighter controls and more serious tones. Chuckles galore as entire structures tumble apart with the same fanfare as bashing down a tower of Jenga, the player frantically attempting to clamber through before the whole thing collapses into the pillowy clouds below. Sure, not every tongue grapple will latch on where it was intended, but the game's generous checkpoints and instantly resetting obstacles never mires progress for long. My main gripe lies with the overall aesthetic, specifically the character's design, which never stopped irking me with an unrelenting dead-eyed smile staring back at me, firmly residing in the depths of the uncanny valley. The music also hastily earned itself the rare accolade of being muted. Solo developer indie games aren't usually ones to write home to about their soundtracks, but this one is particularly bad. Additionally, the game's bonus levels are a grab bag of wild ideas. Some could have been fleshed out in the main game, others are just not so subtle nods to what must be the author's favourite games, and yet others are just completely skippable. As I hopped across the 8th instance of the same copy-pasted terrain, I couldn't help but think the developer's time would perhaps have been better spent fleshing out the main game rather than this bucket full of projects on the side. I say this only because, ironically, Crumble has a rock-solid core that might have reached a wider audience if they'd refined what makes Crumble, Crumble. Alright, so when it comes to the achievements for Crumble, it's about as janky as the actual game. So, first of all, we're going to look at 3 that are really easy to tick off, a lot more easy than you'd expect. Those are You Weren't Supposed to Do That, Speedrunner, and You Really Weren't Supposed to Do That. And for these, you just want to head to the survival level 1G and immediately throw yourself into the fog, make no attempt to survive, and that counts as ticking off all 3 of those. So yeah, it seems the developer didn't think of that. With regards to this survival level, since we're here, if you're going for the gold star for this, I'd say this is actually one of the most difficult levels to get it for, because you have to survive for something silly like 7.5 minutes. So once you find one of these mushrooms, you basically just want to bounce up and down on one mushroom, and the cannonballs are just going to hopelessly attempt to shoot at you in midair. Just avoid the paths that are clearly indicated by those red lines, and hopefully after a couple of attempts you should have ticked this off. It is quite boring, but that's how you do it, so there you go. So you might be wondering why I just said if you want to go for the gold star in this level, since there are achievements for getting all the gold stars. But as I was completing the game, I randomly got these achievements far before I'd actually gotten all the gold stars. So if I had to guess, I think it's because the game released originally with a certain number of levels, and then later on additional levels were added, but the number required to tick off the achievements wasn't increased alongside it. So you only have to do about 2/3 of the game in terms of gold stars. So honestly, if there's ones that you're not really a big fan of, just pick and choose the ones that you think are more palatable, and somewhere along the way you'll get the achievements. And then the last 2 achievements you need to be concerned about are collectible achievements. Those are new friends, and I want to try them all. So each of the main quest line, whatever you want to call it, levels have a hidden blob in them. Now, this type of game where you're supposed to be rapidly dashing through each level, I thought, there's going to be a bit of a mismatch here if you're having to meticulously search through each level for these hidden characters. They're actually quite often found in fairly prominent positions, either at the very start or the very end of a level. I'm just going to highlight a couple as I'm talking about these that would stand out as particularly annoying. This Thunder level I was never a big fan of anyway, since it's so difficult to see anything. So from the beginning you want to head through the first sort of spinning cyclone of debris, and then immediately after that there is a house with yellow walls. You want to head on top of that, and that's where you find the hidden blob in this level. So when all's said and done, Crumble's just really jank all the way down, but in a pretty funny way. I managed to get the whole thing done and dusted in just under 6.5 hours, so it's going to be no amount of drag on your time. Unfortunately, it does have some of those broken achievements, even if they are broken in our favour, I should say. They will all pop, but it's just a matter of, why you get in the achievements for all the gold stars before you've actually got them all. So yeah, we're going to come in at a fairly steady 4 out of 5. There's nothing else quite like it that I've seen, at least. So yeah, if this sort of thing looks like it might be a bit of a laugh for a couple evenings, absolutely go for it. And there we have it. That's the last couple games I've completed. Not really sure what to call them in terms of genre. They're both ball games, but then, I don't know, ball games doesn't sound right. Definitely pinball inspired, especially Go Mecha Ball, but less so Crumble. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, please go ahead and click some of those feedback buttons for me. That would be very well received. Check out some of my other videos if you want to. I think there's some, pretty good games nestled in there. But otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, ciao for now.